builders were of that site. What we do know, though, is that the entire site is definitely a part of some type of an astronomical model. The only reason why I would do this if I were on a foreign planet is to give a message to future generations to say, hey, nudge, nudge, this is where we came from.
I made clear differences between speculations and fact.
A revolutionary new idea.
And it's just a wonderful way to see the world.
And it truly was, I think, the catalyst for what people like I do today, and that is, he paved the way for a lot of us to talk about these strange stories. And that continues to grow, and it's going to get bigger and bigger and bigger. People want answers to questions that they can't answer themselves.
So once again, you've got this idea of like, okay, people are creating this, but what is the reason? Because we just don't have a good idea of why people would do this.
It's basically the cliff notes of planet Earth.
Could the discovery radically change our understanding of human history? And might proof of an ancient civilization provide evidence that mankind's most puzzling myths might actually be based in fact?
A lot of myths, a lot of legends suggest that there were past civilizations of astounding sophistication at incredibly early periods. I think we have little glimmers, little suggestions around the world that there was something going on much higher, much more sophisticated, at a much earlier period of time.
So clearly we have here something that contradicts our normal understanding of the evolution of civilization.
But another, perhaps even more profound question remains. How did such an ancient site remain in nearly pristine condition for more than 10,000 years?
This site was buried. It appears as if somehow the usage was no longer there and that people moved on, but had such a reverence to this important site that rather than destroy it, they put it to peace.
The oldest advanced site now on our planet. We know of no other site that is this advanced.
You mean to tell me that people of that time period did this by hand? I don't think so.
It leaves us to think that there is some connection between all these ancient sites, that the builders were all doing it for a similar purpose.
I do see a similarity across the globe from megalithic sites where these past cultures explain that they were built by the gods. But were they really gods? Or could they have been extraterrestrials?
It's like a Buck Rogers or Flash Gordon movie from the 30s.
And the crazy thing is that all of those stories are totally accepted in the modern society of India. I gotta tell you this, I would be out of a job in India, because there, if I were to talk about ancient aliens and ancient gods, they would say, okay, so what else is new? This looks very aerodynamic, and it looks something that, you know, came from outer space. Outer space. Outer space.
Gave them all types of technology, and some of his physical characteristics make him stand out from the indigenous population because he was a very tall, pale-skinned, white-haired being. The fact that one guy, it is absolutely fascinating. Am I suggesting that he did this with extraterrestrial technology? No, because I don't know. Am I excluding that possibility? No.
The Mayans literally worshipped him as some kind of a god. Was he some important visitor from some far-off land? Or was he even possibly some extraterrestrial from another planet?
Both are interesting theories, and either could be right in my mind.
It is written in ancient Egyptian texts, the purpose was to store knowledge. 300 books which allegedly contained the knowledge of the universe, dictated by the guardians of the sky. The question remains, how was it done and for what purposes? So how was it possible that they built all of this without plans? Because everything is so precise, everything is so perfect, you wonder how any of this was even possible.
You have an anomaly here where, on one hand, these people are supposed to be very primitive. They're just one step out of the Stone Age. Yet, what they're doing are things that we couldn't even do today, apparently, or would have extreme difficulty.
They witnessed bizarre events.
So what kind of technology were they using? It sounds utterly fantastic to us that they could have had some kind of advanced alien technology. It's clearly what they're describing, and it is a computer. It's a really sophisticated machine. Egyptologists' explanation of this, and they have to have some explanation. There's got to be one. It has to be pretty mundane. It can't be that it's an electrical device.
But nobody knows why they made it and how they made it. What mind would think of that?
So we have two places on Earth where we have the same thing. As a message for future generations to see that a long, long time ago, we were visited by extraterrestrials.
Someone who had seen this had to have actually relayed the information to them because they couldn't have just guessed.
I want to be very clear about one thing, that our ancestors were as smart as we are today. However, I don't believe that ancient astronauts visited the Earth in the remote past. I am convinced of it because of all the countless indications and pieces of evidence that we can find from all around the world in different ancient cultures, in different mythologies and legends. I know it happened because if you look at all the pieces, it's the only conclusion that you can draw.
Is that it makes us think. It brings out the what about this? What about that? We need explanations for all these things.
Sooner or later, we will have contact with someone out there, and then the thinking, they will return. And if you don't listen to Erich von Däniken, you will have the shock of the gods.
So we really are confronted with the fact that people are saying mankind could not have built this. It has to have been something above or other than man.
It is perfect, just unbelievable. Now, we would have difficulties today moving that stuff around. Now, I'm not saying that we today cannot do it. I'm not saying that. But if we're struggling with our modern technology, is it really logical to suggest that our ancestors did this?
It's best to stand back and get out of the way.
It's almost extraterrestrial in a sense.
And they knew about a squared plus b squared equals c squared? They knew about it, yes. But why? Who told them this? At the time, extraterrestrials told our ancestors with the idea that a future generation would have to stumble across this mathematical riddle that somebody would say, hold on a second, how is this possible? And that our past is not science fiction, but science fact.